Digitalization has therefore dealt a severe blow to the corruption involved in the collection of payments by different institutions for government. The progress Ghana has made in the provision of e-government services is remarkable. According to the UNDP 2022 E-Governance Index, Ghana is ranked number 1 in West Africa and number 4 in the whole of Africa in terms of e-governance. And we are ahead of countries such as Rwanda, Botswana, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, Kenya, and Uganda. With oversight from my office, ladies and gentlemen, digitalization at the Electricity Company of Ghana has allowed the buying of electricity credit on your mobile phone through the mobile ECG app. This has provided relief to customers who no longer have to queue for long hours to buy electricity units. Also, for people whose credit runs out at odd hours, they can purchase electricity credit on their mobile phones 24 hours a day. Clearly, the initial conditions that we inherited in 2017 are not the same as will be in 2025. Therefore, my priorities will be different. We have done many good things, and I will be seeking to build upon them. My vision, ladies and gentlemen, is to create a tent big enough to accommodate all our people, to tap into the resourcefulness and talents of our people, irrespective of our different ethnic, political, and religious backgrounds, to channel our energies into building the kind of country that assures food, self-sufficient, safe, prosperous, and a dignified future for all Ghanaians. To create sustainable jobs with meaningful pay for all and for Ghana to participate fully in the fourth industrial revolution using systems and data. To realize this vision, we must have a mindset of possibilities and not impossibilities. The challenges we must overcome as a country are too important to let our political differences derail us. There is a critical failure of mindset that manifests itself in the absence of core values, patriotism, and principles within our society. We need to invigorate the can-do spirit of the Ghanaian, to believe that we can do better than we have ever imagined if we put our minds to it. For example, our students from Mamfi Girls Senior High School and Prempeh College have won international robotic competitions against their peers in the US, Germany, and South Korea. We must apply the same mindset of beating the world in robotics, singathons, and cookathons to every sphere of economic activity. We must believe that it is possible. This must be inculcated in our children from home and in school. This is why we are going to introduce a growth mindset curriculum in our schools to help students build critical skills such as problem solving, risk taking, opportunity spotting, and design thinking. Ladies and gentlemen, in the area of macroeconomic stability, a major goal of my government would be to attain and sustain macroeconomic stability with low inflation, low interest rates, exchange rate stability, and low budget deficits. In terms of prudently managing our expenditures, to reduce the budget deficit and interest rates, my government will enhance fiscal discipline through an independent Fiscal Responsibility Council enshrined in the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2018, Act 982. The Fiscal Responsibility Act will also be amended to add a fiscal rule that requires that budgeted expenditure in any year does not exceed 105% of the previous year's tax revenue. This will prevent the experience of budgetary expenditures based on optimistic revenue forecasts, which many a time do not materialize. Ladies and gentlemen, furthermore, my government will reduce the fiscal burden on government by leveraging the private sector. Under the two-term administration of my boss, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government, we have put in place many social safety nets like free SHS, free TVET, and so on. With all these social safety nets in place, my government will now focus on jobs and wealth creation by the private sector for all Ghanaians. My administration, thank you, will incentivize the private sector to complement government in the provision of many infrastructure and other services to reduce government expenditure and improve maintenance. The private sector will be encouraged to build roads, schools, hostels, and houses for government to rent or lease to hold. The demand for roads construction is massive, and this has historically placed a huge burden on the budget. I believe that the private sector should finance the construction and maintenance of roads through PPP concession arrangements. Also, the government will move towards leasing rather than purchasing vehicles, printing equipment, and so on. The private sector will have the responsibility for maintaining the vehicles and the equipment. With this approach, government can save very significant outright cash out expenditure annually from various items across different ministries, departments, and agencies. This policy will energize the private sector and create many jobs. Enhancing the role of the private sector, along with fiscal and administrative decentralization, improving our systems and the way our institutions function will lead to greater efficiency, cutting waste and ensuring value for money in procurement. The move towards private sector provision of many public services would create the fiscal space of at least 3% of GDP annually. This represents a major paradigm shift. Additionally, an efficient system of governance will require even fewer ministers. I would have, therefore, no more than 50 ministers and deputy ministers. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about our tax system. To increase government tax revenue, we have to reform and refocus the Ghana Revenue Authority towards broadening the tax base. Unfortunately, the pressure that is placed on GRA staff to collect revenues makes them focus on existing taxpayers. Sometimes they even have to go and sit in people's shops to monitor sales, a process known as invigilation. In fact, many businesses feel harassed by this process and the constant audits of their operations. So this has to stop. We must strike the right balance between collecting revenue and allowing businesses to thrive. Our job is to protect the productive forces. The World Bank has estimated that revenues amounting to 13% of GDP that is 24 billion US dollars in 2023, are not collected because people are outside the tax net. Even collecting half or a quarter of this annually will be a game changer for our public finances. To do this, we need to inculcate and enforce a culture of people filing their tax returns. Incentives must be provided to encourage people to file their tax returns, even if they will pay zero taxes. We need a fresh start. The current tax regime has been with us since independence, and it has failed us. Many people do not pay taxes, including property taxes. Too much discretion results in corruption. We want a tax regime that is easy to understand, easy to comply with, and easy to enforce, and that is not subject to so much discretion. Many individuals and businesses find our tax system cumbersome and confusing. My administration will introduce a very simple, citizen and business-friendly flat tax regime. A flat tax of a percentage of income for individuals and SMEs, which constitute 98% of all businesses in Ghana, with appropriate exemption threshold to protect the poor. With a new flat tax regime, a tax return should be able to be completed in just a few minutes. We will also simplify our complicated corporate tax system and VAT regime. To start the new tax system on a clean slate, my government will provide a tax amnesty, that is a complete exemption from payment of taxes for a specified period and waiving the interest and penalties up to a certain year to individuals and businesses for failures to file taxes in previous years, so that everybody will start afresh. Tax digitalization will be implemented across all aspects of tax administration. Everyone will be required to file a very simple tax return electronically through their mobile phone or computer. There will be no manual or paper filing of taxes under my administration. Assessments by GRA will also be faceless. Faceless assessments will provide transparency and accountability. There will be no need to send GRA officers to go and sit in shops. E-invoicing, as being implemented by the GRA, will be extended to all companies. Estonia, India, and Mexico provide very useful models for Ghana in the area of tax digitalization. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition, any audits by GRA will also be done electronically and facelessly. Furthermore, no entity will be audited more than once in 5 years unless anomalies are detected which the individual or company does not correct after being given the opportunity to do so. We will amend the law such that if there is a dispute about tax assessment, a binding arbitration will take place through a body constituted by institutions such as the Ghana Arbitration Center, Institute of Taxation, AGI, Institute of Chartered Accountants, Private Enterprise Foundation, Ghana Employers Association, and so on, with a mandate to resolve any appeal in a maximum of 3 months. This will not affect companies, however, who by their agreements have such arbitrations taking place in international jurisdictions. Ladies and gentlemen, with cuts in government expenditure, the private sector undertaking expenditure that would normally be done by government, and the new tax regime, the flat tax regime that will enhance compliance, broaden the tax base, and increase tax revenue. With these policies, the situation we are going to face in 2025 is going to be very different from the situation we faced in 2020 and 2022. With the policy measures implemented so far, we have outperformed the IMF fiscal deficit target of 5% by attaining a fiscal deficit target of 4.2% in 2023. The new policies that I am proposing to implement in 2025 will give us the fiscal space to eliminate some taxes, such as the proposed VAT on electricity, if they are still on the books, the emissions tax, and the betting tax, without compromising our fiscal deficit. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to build a Ghana where we leverage technology, data, and systems for inclusive economic growth. I want us to apply digital technology, STEM, robotics, and artificial intelligence for the transformation of agriculture, healthcare, education, manufacturing, fintech, and public service delivery. I want to see Ghana build the digital talent that we require for the fourth industrial revolution. This will mean providing digital and software skills to hundreds of thousands of youth. This, along with other policies, will create jobs for the youth, including school dropouts. In collaboration with the private sector, we will train at least 1 million youth in IT skills, including software developers, to provide job opportunities worldwide. Generally, there will be an enhanced focus on TVET education. My government will also support the establishment of a national open university, Ghana, in collaboration with the private sector, with a focus on technical and vocational skills and ICT. Ladies and gentlemen, to help our youth get jobs, I believe it is time to rethink the concept of the current national service scheme. My government will propose that those who, after completion of their education, can secure jobs will be exempted from national service. National service will no longer be mandatory, and students will have the option to decide whether to do national service or not. Ladies and gentlemen, to prepare our children for the fourth industrial revolution workplace, I will enhance the repositioning of the education system towards STEM, robotics, artificial intelligence, and vocational skills to cope with the demands of the fourth industrial revolution and job creation. My government will make coding and robotics standard in senior high school. The foundation for this is being laid with the provision of laptops to senior high school students very soon. Teachers have already been given the requisite training. Following the senior high school, we will also implement a one student, one laptops policy for tertiary students through the provision of a zero interest loan with a 70% discount on the cost of the laptop payable over 4 years for tertiary students who need laptops. Another area I want to tackle is reducing the cost of living. Ladies and gentlemen, a major priority of my government will be to reduce the cost of living. The cost of living in the world has increased massively following the COVID pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war. Global inflation has increased from 1.55% in 2016 to 8.7% at the end of 2022. That is average. This is a 5-fold increase. In particular, the increase in the cost of living has been driven by increases in food prices, energy prices, housing rents, and transport prices. Therefore, any attempt to reduce the cost of living on a sustainable basis must tackle agriculture, energy, housing, and transport prices. And that is exactly what I am going to do. I want a Ghana where we attain food security through the application of technology and irrigation to commercial large-scale farming. We will also promote the use of agricultural lime to reduce the acidity of our soils. We enhance soil fertility and get more yield from the application of fertilizer. Ghana has an abundance of limestone to do this. I will also prioritize the construction of the Pualugu Dam by using private sector financing to crowd in grant financing. My administration will also work to reduce the cost of public transport between 30 and 40% with the adoption of electric vehicles for public transportation. The public transport pricing formula is dominated by two variables: the price of fuel and the price of spare parts. Electric vehicles do not use petrol or diesel, and the spare parts are minimal. That is what will bring down the fares. We must also protect local industry from smuggled imports that evade import duties. Ladies and gentlemen, special economic zones will be created. These are the free zones in collaboration with the private sector at Ghana's major border towns, such as Aflao, Paga, Elubo, Sankase, and Tatale, to enhance economic activity, increase exports, and reduce smuggling and create jobs. Tema Port will be fully automated and benchmarked to be as efficient as some of the best ports in the world, like Hong Kong, Singapore, and Dubai. Also, there will be a new policy of aligning import duties and charges at the Tema Port to the import duties and charges at the Lomé Port in Togo. Also, for spare parts importers, duties will be at a flat rate per container, 20 foot or 40 foot, and that is what we are going to do. I entered politics to serve the nation. My passion is solving problems. My passion is helping the poor, the vulnerable, and the disadvantaged in society. Accumulation of wealth is not and has never been a passion or an ambition. This is why throughout my public life, I have pursued policies, especially through digitalization, to check corruption in places like the ports, the DVLA, the NHIS, the Passport Office, and the Controller and Accountant General Department. So I have a solid track record in fighting corruption, and I have earned a reputation for doing so. The literature does indicate that the more electronic payments are used in transactions as opposed to cash, the more there is traceability, and therefore the less the corruption. I would like to bring Ghana close to a cashless economy in the shortest possible time. Ladies and gentlemen, to move towards a cashless economy, however, we have to encourage the population to use electronic channels of payment. To accomplish this, under my administration, there will be no taxes on digital payments. The e-levy will therefore be abolished. Ladies and gentlemen, I want a Ghana where we place an emphasis on values and doing the right things, with the human factor playing its appropriate role in curbing corruption, bribery, crime, dishonesty, and so on. A culture of governance founded on ethical values, transparency, professionalism, and meritocracy, to create a modern government machinery that exhibits more intensity and determination to impose order, discipline and enforce compliance of the rules and regulations that are in place. To boost tourism and job creation, my government will implement an e-visa policy for all international visitors to Ghana to enable visas to be obtained in minutes, subject to security and criminal checks. To make it easy for Ghanaians to obtain passports, under my government, any Ghana card holder will only have to pay a fee for a passport. You don't have to apply for a passport when you hold a Ghana card. If you are a holder of a Ghana card, you will not need to apply separately for a passport. You just need to provide your Ghana card number, pay the fee on your mobile phone. This is because the Ghana card contains all the information and the biometrics for a regular passport. Under my government, free senior high school education will continue and we will improve upon it. Ladies and gentlemen, so far I have spoken about the economy, my contributions, my vision, my priorities and policies. In conclusion, the choice Ghanaians face in 2024 is between Vice President Bawumia and former President Mahama. It is fundamentally a choice between the future and the past. We have to ask ourselves a number of questions in making that choice. If you want someone you can trust to come up with innovative and impactful ideas to transform Ghana, then it is Dr. Bawumia. If you want someone with personal integrity who can be trusted to fight corruption, then your choice is Dr. Bawumia. If you want someone you can trust to work hard and tirelessly and selflessly for Ghana, it is Dr. Bawumia. If you want a leader who has a proven record and who you can trust to create jobs for the youth, it is Dr. Bawumia. If you are looking for the man who has the vision and commitment to prepare Ghana for the fourth industrial revolution, then it is Dr. Bawumia. If you are looking for the man who is more committed to protecting and using our natural resources for the benefit of all Ghanaians, it is Dr. Bawumia. Who can you trust to protect and improve free senior high school education? It is Dr. Bawumia. I am determined to make a difference, a positive difference. I will work for you and with you with honesty and integrity, with wisdom and decisiveness. I have clarity in my mind as to what I want to do from day one if you make me president. I will not ask for a honeymoon to cool off and think about what to do. I am presenting myself to you for the first time to ask for your precious vote to serve you as your president. In all humility, I would like you to give me the opportunity to become one of the most impactful presidents in Ghana's history.